I know this is a weird thing to even comment on. When something like this comes through, the people who don't care and who are like, I don't understand why this is a controversy, are just like, why would anybody feel the need to talk about this? And I fall mostly into that camp. I mean, I'm not somebody who would comment on it. However, as I watch the conversation play out, I feel like people don't get the heart of what the actual issue is. So if you're not paying attention, you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. iDubbbz, a very popular YouTuber, an edgy YouTuber, contemporaries with the likes of Filthy Frank back in the heyday of like 2012, did a series called Content Cop where he busted balls on other YouTubers and he became a beloved guy. And he's dating a girl. There's all kinds of drama about the two of them going back, whatever. I don't care. The main thing going on right now is that she started selling nudes on the internet, and everybody started jumping on iDubbbz and calling him a simp and a cuck, as you do. And iDubbbz made a video responding, basically saying, hey, if you think I'm a simp and a cuck, whatever, I think that's retarded, but you do you, man. Shut the fuck up, right? So, on the one hand, I appreciate iDubbbz's position insofar as he's just like, I don't care, so whatever. If that makes me a simp and a cuck, so be it. But I'm going to explain why that makes you a simp and a cuck from other people's perspective. Because I don't know how this isn't transparent to you in the name OnlyFans. But these people are fans. People who give money to somebody in order to see their nudes. They're not paying for pornography. They're not buying a magazine at the store as an implement by which they can find things to jack off to. They have targeted somebody who they specifically are attracted to enough or interested in participating in just the personal narrative of this person enough that they are going to pay for them to live. And the appeal of paying for someone to live is essentially having some degree of ownership over them, some degree of ability to, I don't know if she's taking requests. I don't know if they're giving $5 and saying do this pose and she does that. But if so, then the appeal of that is that you use your money to force this person to do things for you. And essentially that's what all customer service is, but specifically they're doing sexual things. And when you do sexual things, you, iDubbbz, may think little of it. Maybe you just have a very logical view on sex and you're it's no big deal. But that's not the way that fans are feeling about it. They are not paying your girlfriend money to just look at a girl's pussy and jack off to it. They want to see her pussy, your girlfriend. They have an emotional attachment to this person. Sure, it could just be that they just think that she is the hottest person they've seen, I guess, and therefore they give her money. But the whole transactional relationship, inherently, a part of it is the emotional element. And I would assume in cases like Mother's Basement or iDubbbz that a lot of people specifically pay their girlfriends so they can jack off to their girlfriend, so they can feel like they're getting one over on you. And I know that those guys think that that's pathetic. They will make fun of guys for doing that, haha, my girlfriend makes money, you're just jacking off and acting like you have something. And if you can maintain complete emotional distance and logic, if you can convince yourself that you're really doing that, good for you, man. But sex isn't logical. It is emotional. It is something that invokes all this other complicated social shit. There's tons of implications behind sexuality. You may be wanting to work towards, a more liberal, more radical idea of sexuality, and hey, more power to you if that's what you want. But you have to understand why the conservative mentality towards sexuality exists. And it's not simply for no reason. It's not that it's not couched in any kind of logic. It's like, if you have a wife, a spouse, someone that you are supposed to be like protecting and looking out for and taking care of, then first of all, it's your responsibility to make sure that they can live and that they have money. And I understand that, like, you were saying in the, iDubbbz was saying in his video, like, it doesn't necessarily make her feel fulfilled in the relationship to not contribute something. Well, why does it have to be showing her pussy to people on the internet? Like, why is that the contribution? It could be any kind of thing, right? It's funny to use that as a justification for something so specific when it's like, what fulfillment is she getting out of that? Like, out of any job you could have, for you to choose to seek a job whose basis is getting male attention for money, like, clearly you are seeking that kind of emotional relationship. You must understand, unless you're a fucking idiot and you really don't know what you're doing, that, like, that's what these guys are getting out of it. So what are you getting out of it? Do you like having all these, like, simps following you and manipulating them? Like, that is a relationship. That is something that your girlfriend is doing with a bunch of other guys, like, which is, and if you are fine with it, or even more so, like, into it, that is cuckoldry, you don't have to think that that's bad, and obviously iDubbbz doesn't, but, like, the reason people think cuckoldry is bad is that, like, if you are giving your all towards, like, trying to take care of someone and, like, have a relationship where the both of you fulfill one another to a point where, like, your relationship is so good for both of you that, it's all you really need. You don't need attention from other people. You don't need, like, these weird emotional relationships, these weird manipulative parasocial fucking online things, which obviously you also have as a YouTuber. If your relationship's not fulfilling enough to make it so you don't need that shit, then it makes it look like, oh, you must not really be in control of this thing. Like, you must not be providing enough for one another that you could avoid something like this. And again, maybe in your mind it's just no big deal, but, like, to other people, they're like, your effort is meant to be towards making this not have to happen. Like, the last thing I want is for my girlfriend to have to sell her body online. Like, to have to sell pictures of herself, to sell pictures of her naked body, because I know that there are, like, dire emotional consequences and possibilities of how the people who are jacking off to her are going to feel about her, regardless of what it means to her. What it means to them is something very different, and you don't want to fuck around with emotionally unstable people who use who use money to form parasocial relationships with people on the internet. Like, the people who are following you on OnlyFans are fucking not people you want. Like, they're I'm just saying, it's a business of being weird. It's a business that is inherently, born out of some kind of emotional, divergence in interest that, maybe you think is more beneficial for society and is a good way forward and is A-okay, but you have to understand that there are decent reasons to not think so. To think that it actually is a very poisonous kind of relationship that fans have, that simps have with creators on the internet, and to want to avoid that. Like, even for me personally, as somebody with a Patreon, I'm trying to get away from that. Like, where I want to go with my career is to kind of start selling, like, products and things that people can actually buy, because I don't want people kind of, like, just simping for me as a person, because it creates weird relationships that aren't good. And that's somebody who doesn't show his sex organs to the world. So I just think it's not a road you want to go down, dog. But you do you, idiot.